We are hearing regularly from the starting of the lockdown that food crisis will increase and we may see a food crisis very soon. Here comes the crisis. Homes of millions of people have been destroyed and by the end of the year 40 million people would die because of starvation. Reported like these are getting published. This all started from pandemic and boom due to ongoing war between the Russia and Ukraine. Before we march ahead in this video, let us understand the context of this video. The food prices was already impacting 155 million people in 2021 who is live in 53 different countries. These reports shows that food crisis happen in 5 stages. The countries which are facing the stage 3 crisis required an urgent action, and these countries where those 155 million people resides, and the list of top 10 facing food crisis has been made been public. And since the beginning of the Russia and Ukraine war, the food crisis has only become more devastating because the whole world depend upon Russia and Ukraine for the even I don't know about this before making this video. Only 7 countries of the world supply 86% of the wheat to the whole world. Russia and Ukraine together supply one third of the total wheat to the whole world, and the whole world also depend upon 2 countries for the supply of maize and barley. These 2 countries produce 60 to 70% of the global sunflower oil, and with all this, when war started between these 2 countries, then look at this graph. The food crisis around the world started picking up speed. The countries which are already impacted by the food crisis, 36 countries out of these countries reported more than 50% of wheat demand from Russia and Ukraine. So you can imagine the impact those countries would be facing. When the war started, then many sanctions were imposed on Russia. The Russia cut the food supplies of various countries. In the first step, Russia banned food export in the countries which are part of a Soviet Union in the past. If you look at Ukraine, their farmers are already involved in the war. How would they prepare for the coming year? Many reported says that production of wheat in Ukraine would decrease by 35% in the next year, and the production which was done in the previous year is laying in the port as the under the gun point of the Russian soldier. They don't allow the ground to move. 20 million ton of wheat and corn is laying in the port, and the global countries are trying so that these can move to the other countries. If we look at India, we import 19% of our sunflower from these 2 countries only, and due to war the import will be at least fall by 25% this year. Russia exports would be fall by 40% this year, and Ukraine production will be fall by 40% this year according to the prediction. So you can understand how fast this food crisis is increasing, and it is getting more serious. How you would think if supplies are not getting from Russia and Ukraine, then leave them. Rest countries would increase their production. They cannot. There are 3 main resources behind this: fertilizer, fuel, and climate change. And even these 3 are also affected the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine. Let us look at these step by step. First, we will talk about fertilizer. When the green revolution started in 1916, farmers got the magical production that increased their production up to 3 times. This product was a fertilizer. Fertilizer include majority 3 chemical: phosphorus, nitrogen, potassium. Russia controlled the supply of these 3 chemicals as a very big level. So the whole world is depend upon Russia for these chemicals. When sanctions were imposed on Russia in the month of March, the Russia banned the supplies of fertilizer along with wheat, and therefore if you look at this graph, the price of fertilizers has shot up globally, and the same is happening with the fuel. The price of various fuel are sky high after the war started. Where we look at India or the US, prices of fuel are regularly creating records. Fuel is very important because after the production of grain, transport required fuel, and if the price of fuel is high, the world increase the price of grain, and food would become unaffordable for various countries. And the thing which is mentioned was climate change. Climate change has been a big problem in this year. India suffered from heat waves in the month of March, and heat broke to record of past 122 years, and these heat waves are badly affected the production of waves wheat. Although India and China produce these for their own consumption, but China, after looking at this situation, can try to rule the world by exporting its production. China is already trying to get control over African countries, so China won't leave the situation, and India cannot tackle this situation even if it is necessary. Although India is the second largest producer of wheat, but inflation is already 7 to 8% in India. If you remember, Indian told the world in the month of May that it would export food to various countries, but after 1 to 2 weeks they decided to put a ban on the export. We are affected by these rising inflation. Production of various crops is already affected. If we start to export, then we may suffer in the future. The same situation lies with the US and other countries. 22 countries in the European Union have either put a ban on the exports or available products on increase their control over the. So there is so many questions like, when there is a war between Russia and Ukraine conclude, will there be a withdrawal of export ban from Russia? Will China take the advantage of this situation? Will any country to increase the production of meet the global demand? No one has the answer of these questions, but these are necessary to be asked. One would be able to ask these when he or she be aware of these. Therefore I made this a detailed video. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button. Tell your friends may be also unaware of this. Comment down your takes and thought from this situation. Subscribe to this channel for more informative video. Jai Hind, Vande Mataram.